Welcome to the Root of All Broth. I'm Kathleen Hill. Today we're at a local farm picking strawberries so we can take them back and make some homemade jam. Okay, we're back from the farm and we're in the kitchen ready to start jamming. Our inspiration for today is summer and the harvest is definitely in. Today we're going to be making strawberry jam without pectin and peach jam, my grandmother's recipe with pectin. And so if you've ever wanted to jam, stick around and learn how to do it. Okay, let's get cooking. So there are a few fundamental things you're going to need for today. One, you're going to need, you can buy a set. I mean, all of this came together. You can look online. I'll put a link in my description here, but this is a device that's used to get hot jars out of your boiling liquid. You're going to need one of those. If it has a proper name, I don't know. I just call it the grabber. It's a jar grabber. And this device here is used when we're putting the jam in the jar so it won't spill outside and give us a little bit of space at the top. We want to boil all this first. We're also going to use a muddler. A muddler is going to use to kind of crush our strawberries and our peaches before we start jamming. And then also you're going to need a big Dutch oven. And as you can see, I've already started boiling and cleaning and sanitizing my jars and my rings. Not the lids yet. We'll do that later, but just the rings and the jars. You need to start sanitizing. All of this needs to be sanitized before you start canning or jarring. You're going to need a large saucepan. You can see this is deep. This will hold my sugar and my other ingredients for the jam. So go ahead, if you haven't purchased these items and this is the first time you've ever jarred or canned, go out and purchase this set and then come back and you can learn how to make the jam or watch it all right now. I'm happy to show you everything that you need to know. Okay, a couple other things you're going to need. You're going to need a box of pectin for our peach jam and a couple of flats of mason jars. These are ball mason jars. You can buy a flat of 12 at their local grocery store. You'll need about 2 of these to make all of the jam. Okay, we're going to start on our strawberry jam. Now for this recipe, we're going to need 8 cups of quartered strawberries. So if you've watched our cobbler recipe, we're going to start very much like we did with our cobbler. We're just going to take it, we're going to cut off the tops, and then we're going to quarter the strawberries and put them in a bowl and then pour the sugar on top of those. So right now I'm just going to start quartering these strawberries. You can see I've washed them and then we'll get to the sugar. Okay, my strawberries are done. I've halved some and I've quartered a lot. If they were large, I quartered them. If they were small, I halved them. And to that, I've added 6 cups of white sugar and then a half a cup of water, and we're gonna let that stand for at least an hour. For this recipe and for the peach jam recipe, you're gonna need at least 2 4-pound bags of sugar. Now, for this strawberry recipe, I have used white sugar, and for the peach recipe, I'm going to use what they call moreno sugar or golden sugar, which is less processed and has more pure sugar cane in it. So we're going to do that. This is a very exciting new series for us called Preserve. So we're going to start with the jams. Stick around on the channel. Through the summer, I'm going to sprinkle in these preserves recipes, either jams or relishes or pickles or sauces. So we've got fresh vegetables growing in our garden now. Depending upon when they come up is when we'll have a new preserves recipe. So just keep looking for them if you're really enjoying canning and jamming. Okay guys, we're getting ready to make our peach jam. So we have 4 cups of chopped peaches, and to that 4 cups we've added 7 cups of the golden sugar, and we're letting that sit, but you don't have to let it sit like the strawberry jam as long. We'll just mix it up. Then in my pot here I have a pat of butter and 1/3 cup lemon juice. So we're going to go ahead and bring this to a rolling boil in my pan. Okay, I have my peaches and my golden sugar in here. And the reason I chose the golden sugar for this recipe is I want that deep flavor, guys. But I wanted that more bright flavor with the strawberries. So you can see it's already dissolving, and we're gonna wait for this to come to a rolling boil, and then we're gonna add our sure-gel. Okay, one of the things I do differently than what my grandmother's recipe says to do is I add cinnamon to my recipe. I add about a tablespoon to the recipe, and it makes it more like a peach pie filling. You can do that if you want, you don't have to, but it gives it a nice warm undertone to the jam. So up to you, your decision. Okay, we're at a boil. So now what we're gonna do is add our sure-gel, and then we'll eventually clean all this foam off the top. All right, we're gonna go ahead and add 1 packet of sure-gel to this. And we're gonna mix it up and make sure it's really well integrated. And then after that comes to a boil, then we're gonna clean off the foam. Okay, one thing I want to caution you guys about, and it happens a lot, is that this very easily will overboil on you. So you'll end up with like a nice candy coating on your stove. You gotta watch it, and you gotta add that Sure-Gel as soon as it starts to boil, okay? Because you don't want it to overboil. It will go really fast on you. Okay, to prevent that overboiling, what I'm doing is I'm adjusting my heat. I'm turning it down again as soon as it starts to fill up. We're going to stir this for about 2 minutes. Keep continually stirring with that Sure-Gel in there for 2 minutes, and then you'll be ready to go ahead and can. But just make sure you're always stirring and that you're watching your heat. It will remain boiling even if you turn it down. This is like super hot candy making almost. So you just make sure that you're always stirring. Okay, before we put the jam in the jars, one thing I wanted to say to you, you need to prepare your tops. Now you can reuse your rings, you can reuse your jars, but you can't reuse your tops. About a minute or so before that you begin to jar. You don't want to put them in all day when you clean all your other items. You want to put them in right before you jar. You want to go ahead and put these lids in and boil them for about 1 minute. Then you pull those out and they'll be ready to go. Okay, one of the other things that come with our handy dandy canning kit or jarring kit is a magnet, and this will be helpful to remove the lids out when they're boiling hot. Also, you don't want to put every lid in there. You need to know exactly how many jars you're gonna make. So if you have like 5 jars out, you think, I think it'll make 5 jars, put in like 4 lids and then see if you need another one. Because if you already go ahead and boil it, then you can't use it again and you've wasted a lid. So just make sure that you kind of put those in as you go, but keep this Dutch oven on the back of the stove hot so you don't have to keep turning it on and off and on and off. Okay guys, we're ready to jar, and we need to have a rag here to wipe off the lip of the jar to make sure it's clean. If it's not clean, your lid will not stick. We have our jars that are clean here out on the counter. We've got all of our instruments that we've boiled and made sure that there's no bacteria or anything on there that's going to cause a problem for our jars. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and lift the mixture out. I'm going to move this close, and then you can see my little tool keeps it from running over. And you want to leave about you see a little bit of space at the top. You see that? Can't fill it all the way up to the top of the lid. There has to be space. We pull it out. Great. And then I'm going to wipe this lid. Make sure everything is clean. I'm going to get my lid. Dry it off. See how great that little tool works. And then you're just going to tighten your jar lid just by hand. It doesn't have to be too tight. Okay. And then we're going to drop these back in the water, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But look how beautiful. This is such exciting time to look at the peach in the jar. Okay, we're ready to seal. Now, how do you know if a jar is sealed? There's a really easy way. If you take it out of the water and it goes like this and it pops, it is not sealed, and you have to start over with a new lid and a new ring. If it is sealed, you won't have any give, and I'll show you that after we put it in the water. The water is hot and ready to go. I'm going to just these are just twisted by hand. I'm going to drop them in slowly. Don't burn yourself. You see, I'm going to need to add a little bit more water because it's not coming up all the way around the rim. Okay, I've added a little more water, and of course with this placement, it's going to go up anyway. I'm probably going to get about 3 or 4 jars in here. You won't get them all out at one time. You're going to look for bubbles. I leave my jars in there for about 12 minutes. So 4 jars will do it. So you can see those bubbles. Okay, and then they'll stop, and then you'll know that they're done sealing, but I'm going to leave that for 12 minutes, and then we're going to pull them out with our little tool. Okay, while our other jars are sealing, I'm going to go ahead and go back to our strawberry jam. Our strawberries, water, and sugar are integrated, and they're ready to go into the pot. So the major difference with the strawberry jam recipe is we're not using Sure-Gel or pectin. We're just going to use lemon juice to actually solidify this jelly, and we're going to be using 1/4 of a cup of fresh lemon juice. Okay, it's starting to foam and boil. We're going to turn it down. 4. And I want it to overflow. You can see I'm going to add the 1/4 cup lemon juice, and I'm going to let that boil for 2 more minutes, just like we did with the Sure-Gel, only this time we're using the lemon juice. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start jarring now, and then I'm going to show you the finishing touches after our jars are ready to pull out of the water. Okay, I mentioned the muddler before. Now you can see with this recipe we quartered these. Look how beautiful that fruit is. But if you don't want to have your fruit quartered, sometimes you can use your muddler and just crush up the fruit, and it's going to disperse that fruit throughout the jam. So it's depending upon what you like. You can see how beautiful this turns out though when you have quartered or halved fruit in there. Okay, our jar is ready to pull out. So you can see how I use my tool. I turn it, lift it out, and there you go. And we'll test. You can wait up to an hour to test the lids, but I like to do a preliminary test, and that's really tight. So now we can just go ahead and let it cool. Nothing left now to do but date it. Now these jars will be good up for 18 months in a cool, dark place. You may think I have a lot of strawberries left over. I sure do. I'll be using that for a mini-sode coming on Tuesday, so keep a lookout for a great parfait to be made with sweetened mascarpone and fruit. And this is one of the best traditions I have in my family. Every year we take the boys strawberry picking and we make jam together. I hope you can incorporate it into your routine. And as always, if you want to support the hungry, please give to any of the organizations listed in the description, as well as the full recipes for these jams, as well as all the items that you need for jamming will be listed in the description as well. Thanks for visiting the channel, and I look forward to seeing you again.